Hey everyone, Chris here on the ice at Valley View Casino Center. Does the name Willie O'Ree sound familiar? It should. He's considered the Jackie Robinson of hockey. Back in 1958, he broke the color barrier, becoming the first black player in the NHL. He later came to San Diego and never left. His number is permanently retired and hanging here in our rafters, and his photo is featured on our concourse. And just this year, the Hockey Hall of Fame came calling. Here now, our conversation with Mr. Willie O'Ree. Mr. O'Ree, thank you so much for joining us. You have such a fantastic legacy in hockey and certainly here in San Diego with the Gulls. Talk to me about the early days and how your passion for hockey developed.
Well, my contract was acquired by the San Diego Gulls in 1967. I had played my last year up in Los Angeles, and I was playing against the Gulls that first year that they were in the league. Came to San Diego, and I was excited about playing in this building because every time we came down, they'd either have 10 to 13,000 fans. So it was a great place to play, and I really enjoyed playing here.
And I'm sure you like being here as much as the fans like seeing you.
Oh, I enjoy, not only enjoyed playing here, but I enjoy coming and watching the present Gulls. They've got an exciting team, and I've got hockey in my heart, so I try and get to as many games as possible.
And that hockey has been in your heart since you were as long as you could stand.
Yes, I started skating at an early age, 3, and I had a rink in my backyard in Canada. I started playing organized hockey at 5 and kind of played up through the ranks. And then when I was 14, I decided I wanted to become a professional hockey player, and I set my goals on playing 2 years junior and then turning pro in 1956.
And how did that all come about? How did you know that you could make a career out of hockey? Well,
when I left my hometown in Fredericton, I was 17, and I went up and played my first year junior in Quebec with the Quebec Frontenacs. Phil Watson was the coach, and Phil told me that I had the talent and the skills to play in the National Hockey League. I had played the 1 year, and then the next year I went and played in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. And that's when I had my unfortunate accident. None of the players back then wore any helmets, no face shields, nothing to protect your face or your head, and it was exposed to pucks and sticks and everything else that was flying around on the ice. And there was a slap shot, the puck ricocheted and come up and struck me in the right eye, and I lost 97% vision in my right eye my second year, and Dr. Henderson was the surgeon, and I was in the recovery room, and he came in, and the impact of the puck completely shattered the retina in my right eye, and I lost 97% vision. And he said, "Mr. O'Ree," he says, "I'm sorry to inform you." He says, "You're going to be blind in your right eye, and you'll never play hockey again." Well, I was 19, and I slumped in my hospital bed, and the dreams and goals that I had set for myself about playing pro hockey and hopefully one day playing in the National Hockey League were gone. But I was in the hospital about another 4 or 5 days, got out, and within 2 weeks I'm back on the ice practicing, and the only difference I felt about myself is I just couldn't see it on my right eye. Being a left-hand shot and playing left wing, to compensate, I had to turn my head all the way around to the right to pick the puck up with my left eye. And I was overskating the puck and missing the net, and I just said, "Willie, forget about what you can't see and kind of concentrate on what you can see."
Sure.
So my game started to pick up, and was able to play 21 years pro with one eye.
And 1958 was a big year for you, but also for the National Hockey League. You ultimately broke the color barrier. Did you feel any sense of duty in that happening?
No, not really. I was playing in Quebec, and my coach, Punch Emlak, again told me, he said, "Willie," he says, you have the makings of a National Leaguer." He says, "You've got the skills and the ability." I had gone to the Bruins training camp in 57 and 58, and then I'm in Quebec playing, and then all of a sudden I get the call from the Bruins to meet the Bruins in Montreal. So I go up, and I was excited. I was no stranger to the Montreal fans or the Montreal Canadiens because I had played against them in an exhibition game, but this was a regular scheduled NHL game in Montreal on January the 18th, and when I went out, I didn't realize I broke the color barrier until I read it in the paper the next day.
Wow.
But it was a nice feeling, and I opened doors and broke down barriers for not only the black players, but the players of color that are playing in the National League at the present time.
Yeah. And I think at that time, it was a different time in so many ways. You had all the skill in the world, but I'm sure you had to overcome racism.
Oh, I did. There wasn't a game that went by that there weren't racial slurs and racial remarks directed towards me because of my color. But thanks to my older brother, who I had the pleasure of playing with before I left my hometown, and he said, Willie, he says, names will never hurt you unless you let them. He says, if people can't accept you for the individual that you are because you have the skills and the ability to play the game, he says, don't worry about it. Just go out and play your game and forget about everything else. And basically, that's what I did.
Now, one thing is when you look at how the teams are coming together now and the diversity that you see out on the ice, do you see diversity, or do you still feel that there's work to be done?
There's a lot of work to be done yet, but we're working in the right direction. And the job that I have with the National Hockey League as the diversity ambassador, it allows me to travel around North America and work with boys and girls in different organizations. It gives me the opportunity to let these boys and girls know that there is another sport that they can play if they want to. And they can come, and if they don't like it, they can walk away. It's not going to cost anything. But once I get these boys and girls on the ice, I've got them hooked. They seem that they really enjoy the game, and the camaraderie with the other kids and the other players of color makes it that much more fun.
And we're glad that you chose San Diego to settle in. And I'm sure when you first got that call, you said, where's the next flight?
Yeah, it was when I found out I was coming to San Diego and met with Bob Breitbart, the founder of the sports arena, and Max McNabb, who was the coach and general manager of the Gulls. I just fell in love with San Diego, the climate. I met a lot of wonderful people when I first came down, and then when I started playing, there was just something about playing in a building where you're playing and there's 13,000 fans, screaming. And, back then, the ticket prices were right. The top ticket was around $6. Seniors and military could get in for $1.50, I think, or $2 up in the orange section. And
Sure.
I mean, it was just a great building, and we had great booster clubs. So you couldn't help but want to play here. And I enjoyed it so much that I just decided after I retired that I was going to stay in San Diego.
The Hans came in at a certain point. Tell me your connection with the Hahn family.
Well, I met Ron Hahn and Ernie when I came to San Diego in 1967, and then the last year I played, Ron was owner of the San Diego Hawks, the professional team here, and I played that 1 year and just had a great time. Had a great year, scored 30 goals or better, and then after the year I decided that I was going to retire from professional hockey. But I see Ernie at the games, and it's always nice to see them because when I came here, they were two fine gentlemen that I had the pleasure of meeting.
A lot of memories for you in this building in particular?
Yes, a lot of memories from day one when I first had the opportunity to come in and play. It's just been a great building. I won the goal scoring here in 1969. I won it up in Los Angeles in '65. But there's just some great fans, and I'm able to walk around the arena and meet fans that watched me play back in the '60s and '70s. And it's always a nice feeling, and they want to stop and get an autograph or get a picture. So, yeah, I can honestly say that San Diego's. As I said earlier, been the finest place that I've had the opportunity to play.
This is a very big year for you personally. What does this induction mean to you?
Well, I had set 2 goals for myself when I was growing up, to play professional hockey and then hopefully one day play in the National Hockey League. After I retired, as mentioned, I wanted to get back into hockey, but I never gave it a thought about going into the Hall of Fame. First of all, I only played 45 games in the National Hockey League. the job that I have now as the ambassador to the diversity program, the Hockey is for Everyone program, now it's given me a thought that there is the possibility of me going as a builder from the work that I'm doing over the 21 years. And I never gave it much thought, and then all of a sudden, Brian McBride, who brought me back into the NHL, gave a big push and said, Willie says, you need to be in the Hall of Fame. He says, I'm gonna do everything. He says, I know some very important people. And he says, I'm gonna be talking to them. I know some coaches, some managers, some owners. And he says, we're gonna make it happen. So all of a sudden, the word got out, and all of a sudden now, I'm starting to believe there is the opportunity and the chance I may be going into the Hall. And then I did get the call from the Hall. I was in my home here in San Diego, and Lenny McDonald and John Davison, the two gentlemen from the Hall of Fame, called me up and said, Willie, it's Lenny. And I knew Lenny because I watched him play. He says, how are you today? And I says, not too bad. And he said, well, I've got some good news. He says, you're going to be going into the Hall of Fame. And I mean, I jumped up and hugged my wife, gave her a kiss, and Brian McBride happened to be in my home, and it was just great. I mean, and now everybody's telling me, he said, well, it's long overdue. You should have been in there years ago. But, you know, sometimes some things take a little longer than others. But I'm overwhelmed. I'm honored, and just thrilled. I'll be inducted in Toronto.
Well, it's very well deserved, and on behalf of all of us here at the Arena, congratulations, and thanks so much for being here on the show.
Oh, thank you. It certainly has been a pleasure.
And thanks to Mr. O'Ree for joining us. We'll be seeing him many more times here at the Arena as the San Diego Gulls season rolls on. And we hope to see you here at Valley View Casino Center for some of our great events coming up, including Rex the Halls featuring Death Cab for Cutie, Third Eye Blind, and more on December 14th, Mark Anthony on February 7th, and Two Cellos on February 10th. And did you know, during the San Diego Gulls hockey season, the ice is always down. Even during concerts, the stage and floor seats are sitting on a subfloor constructed by the hardworking behind-the-scenes guys here at the Arena. That's it for this episode. Before the next one, we hope you follow along on all of our social channels. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. We'll see you next time.